45 years, 0 name changes, new offices, more staff, improved technology to better serve you. Education, services, investments. Think real estate, think Marshall Reddick. Brokerage, property management, private lending, creating financial independence through real estate since 1979.
As I mentioned before, my name is Christin Tabar. I'm a real estate advisor here with Marshall Reddick Real Estate. I've been with the company for about 9 years. And I'm really excited to be on this presentation tonight. We're going to be hearing from Maureen Mitchell, who's one of our area experts and agents down in the Cape Coral area. And tonight we're going to do a overview of the market, talk about some exciting things that are happening down there, and we're going to present a few properties that we have an exclusive financing option for. And we're excited to share those with you tonight. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I mentioned my name's Christin Tabar. This is a little picture of my family. I started with the company when my son was about 6 months old and he just turned 9. So it's a good timeline for me to remember how long I've been here. I've been actually investing with Marshall Reddick Real Estate since 2015 and was able to get my job here shortly thereafter. So it's been really exciting to be able to practice what I preach, as they say. Being able to share my experience and my knowledge with my clients, as well as be able to participate in those activities myself. My husband and I now own 32 total properties across the US, and that ranges anywhere from raw land that hasn't been developed yet to single family homes that we're currently trying to sell, and duplexes that we are selling and or refinancing for our own portfolios. So a lot of cool things going on that my husband and I are also doing in the Cape Coral market. So it's always been a market that we've been invested heavily in. Another reason I'm excited to be presenting tonight with Maureen. So I want to read all of my credentials to you. I know you guys can all read and you can check those out. But if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the question box. I'll be trying to answer as much as I can as we go through the presentation. And of course, if we don't get to something that you wanted to hear or that you were looking forward to learning, please also let us know so that we can make sure to get that information out to you. If you are new to Marshall Reddick Real Estate, we are a full service real estate brokerage, property manager, private money lender, and we also offer an investment fund for those of our investors who want to be truly hands-off. It is a truly passive mode of investing where you're still involved in the real estate arena without actually owning the asset. So we're all under one roof. We cover the gamut. A lot of our clients love working with us for that reason, because we're a one-stop shop where we can connect you with lending, property management, insurance, et cetera, all the pieces that you'll need from start to finish and then for the life of your investment. So as I had mentioned on the last slide, I have been with the company for about 9 years now, and my husband and I have used every single service that Marshall Reddick has to offer. We've been private money lenders, we've borrowed private money, we use Marshall Reddick Property Management. I've bought and sold with Marshall Reddick agents in multiple different markets, and I'm a mortgage fund investor. So again, if you have any questions or there's any information that you're looking for, I'm always happy to share. Always want to share my experience with my clients to help get them comfortable, get everyone comfortable, and make sure that we all have the same expectations. Here's our national footprint. When I first started with the company, Marshall Reddick Real Estate had one office here in Newport Beach, and now we have offices across the nation in all of these markets that you see on your screen. So from California, across Texas, Florida, and Tennessee and Kentucky. We have brick and mortar offices where we offer all of these services that I've just mentioned. And regardless of your market choice, we're still one roof, we're still one-stop shop, and all of the services that we provide are going to extend to all of these regions. So why these markets? Why are these the areas where Marshall Reddick has chosen to get started and then stay? Many of these markets have been part of our footprint for decades since Marshall Reddick opened the brokerage back in 1979. So what makes a good market? Well, these are the 7 criteria that we're constantly looking at and reviewing as we're looking at the 13 markets across the United States where we do have agents and we do have management and services. We always want to make sure there's a strong job market. We want low vacancy rates. We want economic diversity. Is the housing affordable? Is it affordable for owners and is it affordable for renters? Are we landlord friendly? Is there a good education? And of course, do we have reliable property management? We had a vendor that said, you date your agent, but you marry your property manager. So that manager is going to be with you for the life of that investment. And it's really important that that management company is reliable. So we are happy to offer that service across our markets and take care of our clients, not only through the market selection, but also to make offers, get under contract, and then have that property managed for you once it's closed. So we start to finish under one roof, and we're constantly reevaluating these 7 criteria in our markets to ensure that the areas where we are encouraging our investors to look at are still performing the way that we want them to. Here's a quick snapshot of our teams across the nation. We have our Texas teams, our California team right there in the middle. Lower right-hand corner is Clarksville. So across the nation, these are the folks that you're going to be working with. And these are the people that Maureen and I are also working with on a day-to-day basis. So it's my pleasure to introduce Maureen Mitchell. She is our Florida agent and market expert that we're going to hear from tonight. She's going to share a lot about the market. She and I have worked together with multiple clients on multiple transactions, and it is my pleasure to turn it over to her.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much, Christin. I appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. There's a little tidbit about me. I am a Florida licensed realtor. I did have 10 years prior experience as a closing agent at a title company. That is actually how I started in real estate. Little bit of a funny story about how I actually got started in real estate. I was living in a rental. My real estate agent showed up to my house unannounced. I called the owner and told him that I did not appreciate it. He had advised me that his realtor does this all the time and asked me if I ever thought about getting my real estate license. I was honest with him and said no, not at the time. I was happy doing real estate closings. I was very happy where I was. About 2 months later, I called him up and I said, Mike, are you serious about your offer? And he said, Maureen, if you got your real estate license, you would be my agent. Well, within 4 months, I had my real estate license, and within the next year, he had closed 30 closings with me with his Canadian investors. So that is absolutely how I got started in real estate. Like I said, I've only been licensed for about 4 years. I do have experience with 1031 exchanges, multi-units. Not only do I help investors acquire property or sell property, I am also one of the top leasing agents in the entire company. Once those properties are acquired, I will help lease those properties. Like I said, I am one of the top leasing agents in the company, so I take a lot of pride in that. One other fun little fact about me is I actually took my real estate license course right in this very building that I currently work at. And if any of you on are already MR clients and know the name Jerry Robinson, he is a broker associate here. He was actually one of my real estate instructors. So he is now one of my mentors, which is very nice for me because I know him. He was my real estate instructor. And again, like I said, now he is my mentor. So I feel like Marshall, Reddick, and I are just the perfect fit. So one of the main reasons that we are here today is to talk about purchasing a duplex in the Lee County area. Some people ask why a duplex? Why new construction over resale? Well, new construction over resale first, yes, they are higher in value, but you don't have that many maintenance repairs that you have with a resale. You have a brand new roof, you have brand new AC, all of your appliances are brand new, everything is brand new. You have a lot less maintenance costs. Repairs are way down in the future. Most new constructions come with some kind of warranty from the builder. So if anything does go wrong within the first year, it's pretty much covered. With a new construction duplex or single family home, anybody would rather live in a new property than something that somebody else has already lived in. And one of the good things about new construction is tenants stay longer. They don't have the hassle of maintenance. They don't have, the hassle of things going wrong. New construction tenants tend to stay a lot longer than the year in a resale property. So those are just some of the benefits. You've got the less turnover, the less maintenance. So those are some of the advantages of a new construction duplex. Now, if you're familiar with Cape Coral is divided into 4 quadrants: northeast, southeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest. There are certain corridors in the Cape that are not hooked up to city water, where they are hooked up to well water. Right now, the city in the northwest quadrant are converting well water into city water. But there is a huge assessment that comes along with that, which is included within the tax bill once your property is in that quadrant. The fee for that is $34,000. That is split up within the tax bill. So you don't have to pay that $34,000 up front, but it does hike up your tax bill to include that assessment. Now, all of those quadrants are broken up into stages. There are, I believe, 5 stages at the moment. They're updating some things right now. Some of those properties and some of those quadrants actually are not going to be hooked up with city water until 2030. That is the latest that those are being pushed out to. There is one quadrant that is under construction right now. Again, it is a $34,000 assessment. So if you are thinking of purchasing here in Florida, or Southwest Florida, particularly in Lee County, it is definitely something that you would need to keep your eye on, whether you are on city water or well and septic, and whether that assessment has been paid by either the builder or the current owner. This right here is, again, for some of you who are familiar with Cape Coral, we have what we call the Northwest Corridor. I'm going to get into the development on that in another slide or two, but that is the area right now that the Cape is concentrating on to fully build up. And they are definitely in the process of doing that. Like I said, we'll get to that as in another slide or two, and I can tell you all of the wonderful things that are coming to the Cape. That is an aerial view of Lee County itself. The yellow is Cape Coral. If you move on over to the blue, that is Fort Myers. And then you have Estero and Bonita. And then that little island over there, I'm sure most of you know, Sanibel. That is the entire Lee County. Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot Lehigh all the way up and to the right. So Lee County is really comprised of Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Bonita, Estero, Sanibel, and Lehigh. So there are 6 little communities or towns, cities within Lee County itself. So it's a very, very, very big area. Now, these are all of the up and comings. I did not put all of them on there, but the first one, which I am very excited to see coming, it is called Coconut Grove. It will be coming to the northwest quadrant of Cape Coral, Chiquita and Burnt Store area. It will be 131 acres, all mixed use. That includes apartment buildings, concert venues, retail offices, park. I believe they're putting a movie theater in there. That is going to be something to see. Not only that, over in the northwest quadrant, they are getting ready to develop another community, Del Prado Point. It's going to be 170 acres, again, mixed use. A lot of everything coming into the Northwest Corridor is going to be mixed use. They're all going to have little apartment buildings, retail shops, office spaces, medical offices, just a little bit of everything so that everything is right there. We do have 5 new parks slated for the Cape within the next 3 to 4 years. They should all be finished. One does include a concert venue, a sports complex. They're just the projects that are coming not only to the Northwest Quadrant, but to Lee County itself are pretty expansive. There is also another one called Hudson Creek, which again will be 130 acres of mixed use. Over in the Southwest Cape, there is already a development called Bimini Square. Well, that was just approved for a $100 million improvement, which is going to cover 6 acres. It's going to have 13 parcels, and that again will also be office, retail. I believe they're going to have 200 apartments over there. It will include docks for people with boats. It's going to include restaurants on the water. So everyone is pretty much excited about that one also. Another one coming, I told you, they're hot and heavy. Another one, Hudson Creek. This one is going to be 1,732 acres of mixed use land. So the development coming, again, I can't stress this enough, between the next 5 and 6 years is when all of this is set to be done, is going to be phenomenal and really make Cape Coral the place to be. Not only that, I don't know, I'm a big soccer fan. Naples just brought in a Major League Soccer. They're starting from scratch. Great Wolf Lodge just opened up down there in Naples, so that's going to be another great point. So the development just in between Lee County and Collier County, including Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, Charlotte County, it's really going to be amazing to watch and to see what the final result is going to be. Why is Southwest Florida so popular? Well, for some of the reasons that I had just mentioned. Our unemployment rate is at 3%. We are on Forbes' list of the 3rd fastest area for job growth. Just saw an article yesterday or the day before yesterday that stated that Cape Coral is one of the best places for first-time home buyers. So that is definitely a plus. The median income for the area is just about $70,000. That is picking up a little bit. We do have a lot of people moving in from other states coming down, moving. A lot of people are not snowbirds anymore. They are here permanently. We do have 47 miles of Gulf beaches and 400 miles of canals. If anybody knows Cape Coral, you could literally drive down one road in Cape Coral and hit canals and not know how to get back. A lot of those canals go to nowhere, but they are still for everybody's enjoyment, whether it's canoeing, kayaking, or, you know, just sitting out at your dock, you know, enjoying the wildlife, which is plentiful, and, you know, just enjoying the serene beauty that you have surrounding you. We do have 109 public and private. We also do have charter schools here in Lee County. I do believe that they are in the process of talking about building 3 more, and one of those would be in Lehigh, one of those would be in Fort Myers, and one of those would be in the Cape. Right now, the housing market in Southwest Florida is definitely booming. Right now, we are seeing a slow change to make this a buyer's market. We have had, so far last year, we've had 1.3 million annual visitors, and they usually spend around between $1 to $2 billion. We do expect to see that increase once everything else starts building and the construction starts and, you know, everything starts to grow. The job market, again, we just went through this. It's approximately 6.2, while the labor force is growing by a 1.6 annually. There's really, this slide pretty much speaks for itself. Our unemployment rate in the region is 3.3. That's where we are. We're at 3.3. Again, Forbes has this as the 3rd best place in the country for jobs in the U.S. And again, with all the development and everything coming, I do see that increasing within the next year or two. Right now, Cape Coral's population has increased by almost 20% since 2020. If you know the Cape, in the summertime, we used to breathe that, you know, the roads were open, nobody's staying, everybody goes back to where they're living. Well, that is just absolutely not the case anymore. There are more and more people moving here, whether it be for jobs, political reasons. There are lots of reasons that people are relocating to Florida and Lee County itself. With us being just the Cape being 120 square miles, we are the 3rd largest city in the Cape, and we are ready for the big boom. Again, rated one of the best cities to live in. We have great weather, minus the hurricanes, but when you live here, you really, I don't want to say that you get used to it, but you know how to prepare. Everything's going to be fine. I was here in Ian. I didn't leave. And honestly, the worst part about a hurricane is the aftermath. And I'm just being absolutely honest with you guys. Other than that, the weather is amazing. The economic opportunity is great. And a lot of investors like us, because we have low taxes, there's no state tax, no state personal income tax, no corporate franchise tax, no state level property tax, no property tax or business. You know, I mean, it's just a great place if you're an investor to invest your money. The average household size of the Cape is 4. That has increased. I've been here, oh boy, over 20 years, and that has definitely changed. The median age now is about 48 years old. When I first moved here, it was definitely a lot older. We are, the fastest growing age right now is 25 to 34, and the fastest declining are 65. The average rental increase is actually 3.7%. And right now, I am seeing movement in a lot of 3 bedroom, 2 bath duplexes and single families. but we're also seeing an increase that family sizes are increasing. So a lot more people are moving to a 4-bedroom, either to have that extra office or to have that extra bedroom for the child that they're either having, or at least another bedroom for guests and, you know, stuff like that. But most people right now, 3-2, but we do see 4-2s coming up. And the most requested upgrade, I'm going to say a fence is absolutely the most requested upgrade that I hear. Does it have a fence? Does it have a fence? Fences and being pet friendly are two things that I can tell you. If you are thinking of purchasing an investment property here, whether it be a duplex or a single family, I highly suggest, if the property you're looking at does not have a fence, that you put one up. Properties with fences rent faster, and properties that are pet friendly rent faster. It's just especially since COVID, everybody was cooped up for 2 years. Everybody has a pet, whether it is a 3-pound Chihuahua or a 50-pound lab or a cat. I can tell you that I personally rent out properties that are pet friendly quicker than I rent out properties that are not pet friendly. I do have one owner that will not rent to people with cats. That is just his thing. He has lost some applicants due to the fact that he will not rent to people with cats. But that is his property. He has every right to do that. And he does understand that that does dwindle. But, you know, everybody, if you're the owner, you have the option. I am just letting you know that that is definitely something. If you are considering purchasing, you definitely want to think about a fence and pet friendly. Cape Coral, Lehigh, duplex.
I don't know why, sorry, really quick. I don't know why the slide moved forward. I tried to put it back and it pushed me back to this one. But I just wanted to jump in really quick. My husband and I, as I mentioned early in the presentation, have purchased a lot of land, and we've been developing properties for our own portfolio in the Cape Coral market. And our first trip out there with our family was in January of 2021. And I remember cruising around with my kids, who were, you know, 4 and 6 at the time, maybe, and just thinking, wow, like there's not really a lot of other kids around. Like, we would go to parks and I'd take them mini golfing and what have you, you know, whatever was open. Because again, as Maureen mentioned, it was really kind of at the height of COVID. And I thought, where's all the kids? This is really strange. And our agent that I had worked with in previous years, they had always referred to Cape Coral as kind of a bedroom community. You know, a lot of people came there to retire. There was a lot of older people there. There were a lot of, you know, a lot of people that came in for just the season and then left. And it's really interesting how that demographic has changed so much over the last couple years. Most recently in 2022, we were back with the whole family, and I mean, where did all the kids come from? It was crazy how the demographic had changed and how many more families we saw and how many more people my husband and I's age we saw out and about and at the beaches and at the malls. And that shift has been really neat to see, and that's been helping a lot, as Maureen mentioned, with our rentals. You know, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and now even the 4-bedroom, 2-bath for that office for those people who are, you know, still given the opportunity to work from home or expanding their families. So that shift in, you know, just that shift in the age demographic has been really interesting and has worked out very well for our owners down there in the Cape Coral area as well.
Okay, I gotta put my glasses on for this one, guys.
Okay.
Sorry.
We'll go ahead and jump into some property, just some property specifics. Each builder is going to be a little bit different, but there are some building code requirements that are going to be standard across all of the new construction projects in Cape Coral, and these are going to apply to the properties that you'll see tonight on the presentation. So I will hand it back over to Maureen, but just so you guys know what you're looking at here, these are going to be some of the property specifics for the duplexes, new construction that we'll be seeing tonight.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of these regulations are due to make sure that the properties are hurricane protected. As you can see in the first one, it says 155 mile an hour per wind engineered truss systems. Everything on this list is to make sure that your house is going to hold up no matter what. They are always changing the building codes. A lot of building codes got changed after Ian, so anything that is being built right now has a totally different code than something that was built prior to Ian. Fort Myers Beach is going through that right now. They are going through a complete overhaul of their code requirements for building. So this is always changing. There's always something different. There's always something added. Do you have anything to add to that, Christin?
I would just say, just to back up to the, hurricane thing, after, the first time that I'm aware that the building codes changed was after Hurricane Andrew back in the late 80s. So any properties that you see built in 1990 or after are going to have some of those implementations. And then the newer the property, obviously, the more hurricane proof. And for those of you who aren't looking in my video, I'm using quotations. Nothing is totally hurricane proof, but
absolutely,
there are a lot of building codes that help to mitigate some of the risk. The rebar enforced walls, that rebar goes down into the foundation, connects to the roof. Maureen mentioned the trusses. So there's a lot of, building upgrades as well for some of the new construction nowadays that is also going to contribute to helping keep your property safe in the event of this, that kind of inclement weather. I do want to add also, though, in terms of the hurricanes and such, I've heard, and I've never, well, I take it back. I was in Florida, in Cape Coral specifically during Hurricane Elsa, and I was standing on the balcony of my hotel waiting for a storm surge, waiting for something exciting to happen, and it never did. It was windy and rainy, but nothing major ever happened with that storm. But that said, if you get a hurricane warning, you have time to prepare your property, you have time to prepare yourself, you have time to bunker down and get ready for it. We had an agent that used to work with us years ago that would always say, I would be more worried about an earthquake in California because those happen out of nowhere and you can't prepare for it. So of course, me as a California girl, I'm like, earthquake, schmirthquake. I've been through a few of them and have never been really impacted by one in my location. I mean, there have been a few earthquakes that did cause very significant damage. I don't want to downplay that, but you can't prepare for an earthquake. It does just happen out of nowhere and you just have to hope for the best. So, with the hurricane, not only are there going to be structural things for these new constructions that help to reduce the risk of property damage, but also your tenants and management are going to have time to prepare for any kind of adverse weather, again, as another step to protect your property against that.
Yes, ma'am.
Moving on.
These are some new duplexes. The one on the right is actually out in Lehigh, Lehigh Acres. It is the $599 is the sales price. I don't know, Christin, do you want to go over this or do you want me to go over the?
Yeah. So this is just a side-by-side comparison of these two properties. As we mentioned, the one on the right is a Lehigh property. Is this, Maureen, a new construction, or is this?
It is new construction. It is.
Okay. The reason that I ask is because the maintenance has not been adjusted. So I wanted to touch on that briefly. You'll see on the side-by-side comparison, the property on the left is a new construction that we're going to show a more in-depth snapshot of in a couple of slides. But one of the big things about new construction that we touched on is that those maintenance costs are typically going to be less for the first 5 years, and we can assume less when we do our calculations. So you'll also see on the left that new construction is going to pull in a higher rental amount at $4,390 versus the one on the right that's at $4,000. Additionally, your new construction, this one is going to qualify for the financing incentive that we're going to talk about a little bit later. When you do purchase with the builder's preferred lender, they are offering an opportunity for you to be down at a 5.25% interest rate versus a property that's not brand new, that's on the market, where that 6.75 interest rate is going to be closer to what you're going to be seeing from a lender if you're applying for a conventional loan. So finally, when we get down to monthly income, you'll see that the new construction is going to kick off a lot more on a monthly basis than the duplex that is not new construction. Additionally, down where you see estimated maintenance, the percentages are going to vary by property class, and these are both A-class properties, so you'll see 8% of the monthly rent as an estimate on the property on the right, not new construction, and you'll see 5% for the property on the left, new construction, because as I mentioned, and as Maureen mentioned a few slides ago, when a property is brand new, all your big ticket items are brand new, there's a lot less of a chance that you're going to experience significant maintenance in those first 5 years or so. So just a quick side-by-side comparison on the new construction property versus pre-existing. So that said, we're going to hop into a couple of properties here. We are going to showcase 2 new construction duplexes tonight, one in the Lehigh Acres area and one in Cape Coral. We're going to talk about the differences between those 2 properties. We'll talk about the financing, the investment figures that you see on your screen. But before I do that, I wanted to invite Maureen back in to talk a little bit about this property, location, and some other perks that would come along with this type of new construction in Lehigh Acres.
Sure, absolutely. So the High Tower property is located in Lehigh. As you can see, it does have an upgraded driveway with the interlocking pavers. Being that this property is out in Lehigh, it is definitely going to be on well. But right now, there are no assessments or anything coming to Lehigh to switch that property to city water. So right now, that property is on well and septic, and you would have to properly maintain the water system in order for that, but there's no water bill, there's no anything, there's just maintenance to the actual water system that makes the water drinkable and usable. It is a great gigantic system that goes onto the side of the house. A lot of people prefer it because all you have to do is put bags of salt in it, and if you do your proper maintenance on it, it will last a really long time. Again, no water bill. You just have to maintain it. These properties do come with brand new stainless steel appliances. This current property, it looks like, is on the market for $549, which again, Lehigh compared to Cape, The one that we're going to see compared to Cape is going to be in a higher price range. But the difference between Lehigh and the Cape is Lehigh is more of a, trying to think of a good word for Lehigh. Lehigh is more of a tenant area. There's a lot of rentals in Lehigh. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely homeowners out there too, but it is definitely a rental community. A lot of people from Miami are moving out into Lehigh, and a lot of people from Naples are moving to Lehigh because it is a shorter commute to Naples, and Naples prices are a little high right now, and so a lot of people are leaving the Collier County area and moving over to Lee County, where they can still go ahead and commute to work. So that's what Lehigh is definitely growing. Again, it is definitely a renter's region, is what I guess I would call it. Sorry guys, got to put my glasses back on. This property is not in a flood zone, so there would be no flood insurance required. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It does have a 1-car garage, which most duplexes do. It's uncommon. It's rare to find a duplex with a 2-car garage. If you do find one, it is very rare. They're very few and far between. This property does have granite countertops. I believe the interior of this property is gray with the soft close kitchen cabinets. And I do not believe this property has a fence, but I would have to verify because, to be honest with you, I'm not honestly sure.
Sure. Is it uncommon for properties to have fences? Is that something that you find a lot of owners are adding after the fact, after their purchase?
If we ask, we do have a lot of tenants that ask if there's a fence coming, or there was a fence prior to Ian, if they are rebuilding the fence. Some owners are absolutely doing it and some owners are not. It really just depends on the owner and where that property is specifically located.
Okay, perfect.
But it definitely is a plus.
Okay. I imagine now with the age range kind of shifting down as well, people are looking for fences for their children and their animals. So I know. Children
and animals, absolutely. And the privacy in the duplex.
Okay. So really quick, I want to just jump into the financials. For those of you who are joining us for the first time and haven't seen our financial breakdown, starting at the top there, you see your list price. You'll see your down payment of 30%. I do want to remind everyone that the minimum down payment for a 2 to 4 unit property is 25%. However, in today's current interest rate climate, that additional down payment is going to help with that interest rate. In addition, it's going to help, especially with the incentives that we have with our preferred lender. So do keep in mind though that 30% is a little bit increased from what the minimum is. Initial repair cost we've put in, and this is to cover things such as window coverings and other items that builders are not required to install, but that you'll want to put in for your tenant prior to getting the property listed for rent. And closing costs at 2.1%, that is 2.1% of your loan amount. So total investment capital here, just shy of 180,000. Your gross rent there is listed at $37.90. That's going to be, of course, for the whole building, both sides. And coming down here, mortgage, taxes, insurance, management, these are all your fixed expenses. So month after month, these are going to be your recurring expenses at $3,100 per month, leaving you with a monthly income of $685.42. So on a great month, Both sides pay rent on time. There's no maintenance. There's nothing additional that the property requires. You'll see that $685 in profit from your rental income. Now, this next section, these are going to be estimated expenses. So these are not figures that property management is deducting from your monthly rent. These are just estimates that we build into our calculator, because at some point of your investment ownership, you will experience a tenant turnover, you will experience maintenance, and we want to show you what that reserve might look like, or what you should prepare for in order to keep keep ahead of that. So the maintenance and vacancy percentages are derived from the property class. This is a B class property, so estimated vacancy is going to be at 10%, and estimated maintenance would also sit at 10%, except this is a new construction, so we drop that down to 5% for the first 5 years. As with the new construction, we expect that maintenance to be less. Finally, your leasing fee, that's 50% of 1 month's rent. So for easy math, property rents for $1,000, leasing fee $500. Now, when you see over 18 months, the reason that we've done that is because in our experience, your average tenant stays for 18 months. Now, we know we sign 1-year leases, sometimes tenants stay for 3 years. On average, that turnover occurs every 18 months. So we take 50% of 1 month's rent, divide that over 18 months, and basically what this is saying is if you were to put $105 aside every 18 months, you would have that leasing fee rebuilt in your property account. So when your property does become vacant and you have that turnover, your property is still essentially paying for itself because your leasing fee has been built up over the last 18 months. So that's what that equation is. You'll see these figures on every single property on our website, on our financial calculator. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Maureen or I can answer any questions you have about any of these calculations. So after that, estimated monthly cash flow. Now that number looks a little scary at $11. However, that's not going to be on a monthly recurring basis. Again, these are your estimates that we want you to keep in mind so that you don't plan on having $685 every month without fail, because eventually your property will need improvements, will need some maintenance, will have some turnover. So we want to make sure that those calculations are part of our projections for our investors. Down here at the bottom, your 15-year projected profit and 15-year ROI. And again, 15 years is on average how long an investor holds a property. So on the calculator on the website, you do have the opportunity to adjust that number if you plan to hold a property for less time or more time, and the figures and the return numbers will adjust automatically as well. So that's our Lehigh property. Again, that's a brand new construction. This property is going to be eligible for the 5.25% financing incentive when you work with our preferred lender. So if that's something that you're interested in and would like to get more information, again, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're going to look at one more property here across the Cape, and I'll turn it back over to Maureen for some property details.
Okay, this is a wonderful property. I actually just got under contract the identical duplex, which is, I believe, 4 houses down. This one is currently still available. Southwest 8th Court is a great street. It is definitely family friendly. It is very close to Cape Coral Parkway and 47 Terrace, which is kind of downtown Cape Coral. This property has been elevated to where there is no flood insurance required. We do have removal of that from the city of Cape Coral. We are currently waiting for FEMA to approve it. We did just receive the CO on that property, I believe it was yesterday. So that property is rip, raring, and ready to go. All assessments have been paid for the water hookup The windows are hurricane impact. You can't see it, but there is actually a wall in the back patio that actually separates the back patios. Instead of being open and having one big giant patio, there is a 5.5-foot wall that separates. So at least there is a little bit of privacy. Like I said, again, very close to 47 Terrace. You could bike ride down there. You could walk. Excuse me. It is an absolutely wonderful property. Again, we just got the CO on this yesterday, and it is just waiting for somebody to call it home.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, and as Maureen said, that this property does, you can't see from the pictures, but in addition to all the code requirements, this property does have a few additional builder upgrades, including the hurricane windows, which eliminates your need for hurricane shutters. The builder had a couple feet of dirt brought in, so it does sit at a higher elevation than some of the other properties on the street, which is why the LOMA comes into effect here. So there's a few different, again, upgrades to this property. Also, the incentive, the financing incentive would apply when you use the builder's preferred lender. So also an option if you're looking for something new across the water. And in Cape Coral, contrary to Lehigh Acres, and for this property specifically, this is going to be on city utilities. So no well, no septic, no maintenance of those systems. And your clients will be there. You won't have to worry about that assessment. The owners paid the assessment, so that $34,000 tax bill that Maureen mentioned early in the presentation would not apply on this property. So to review on these financials really quickly, I'll keep this a little more brief since we just went over this for the Lehigh property. These are going to be exactly the same figures. List price a little higher because we're across the Cape. So a little bit more desirable, a little different demographic on the Cape Coral side. List price at $599. Your total capital needed $192 on this property. You'll also see the rents are estimated a little bit higher than they are in Lehigh. So fixed expenses on this property are going to be at $3,500. Really quick, I did want to touch on the fixed expenses. You'll see landscaping down here at $80 a month. For a duplex, this is pretty standard. It's very difficult to have your tenant maintain the yard when there's only a one-car garage. It's hard to kind of store and maintain their own gardening equipment. In addition, this property has the driveway in the middle, but if the front yards connect at all, you can't really tell the property line difference between which tenant is responsible for mowing what grass. So pretty standard for the owner to be responsible for the landscaping. For a duplex, if you do look at single family residences, that landscaping is going to be the responsibility of the tenant. So little difference there on the duplexes. This applies in Lehigh Acres as well. I didn't touch on it on the last slide. So that is going to be an owner expense on the landscaping, but again, just $80 a month. And if you let your grass overgrow, the city of Cape Coral will send you a nasty gram. So you can try to get around the landscaping, but it will come back around and find you. We build that in, as I mentioned already, on the calculator because we know that that's an expense our owners are going to encounter on a monthly basis. So after your fixed expenses at about $3,500, this property is going to bring a monthly income of about $450. We're also going to give the same estimates for maintenance and vacancy and leasing fee. You'll see these percentages a bit lower because this property would fall in the A class. So our vacancy and maintenance are going to sit at 8% for an A class property. We've dropped it to 5% as this is a new construction. And again, we just expect that that maintenance is going to be less for the first few years of ownership. So total projected profit, 15-year ROI, 16 6.36%. So you're looking at a great investment here, and especially with the financing incentives and the reduced maintenance potential, both of these new construction duplexes are going to look very favorable. So this is just a quick overview of the Fort Myers market. And this data has all been taken from the National Association of Realtors website. So, and anybody can go to that website and anybody can look up this data as well. So we take this back to 1999. So you can see the year-over-year changes in the market. You can see there was a lot of activity back in 2008, and then the steady climb after that, and the consistency of the market as it continues to project upward. So great for owners. It's been a little stagnant for the first couple of years, which makes right now a great time to buy because the prices are not quite as high as they were at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. But you're still going to have a great property, and the market is still, as we mentioned earlier, drawing in a lot of new residents and a lot of new people. So down below, you'll see I touched on property class just a tad when we were discussing the properties. So this is going to show you where the properties fall. So it primarily falls into price point for that single family residence. 420,000 is going to be right at that AB line, and for a duplex we're going to be sitting right at about 300,000 per unit to push us into that A class side. So the duplexes that you've seen tonight that are priced at 550 to 600, they're going to fall right in the A or B class category there. So you're going to pull in a great tenant quality. These are going to be in areas that will appreciate over time and overall hopefully give you a good experience. Maureen, anything to add on this one?
No, you pretty much covered everything there, girl.
All right, then let's move on. So this is going to be a quick overview of our management structure. We, prior to opening our own brick and mortar offices, had third-party referrals for property management, and we experienced the great, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and rolled up all the great and the good and created our own property management option under our own roof for all of our clients who have and continue to purchase property with us. So you'll see an outline here of our fees. You'll see the leasing fee here at 50%, as we discussed on a previous slide. There's no setup fee, no maintenance coordinating fee. So that helps to keep your income in your pocket. And then our percentages for your monthly management fee are going to be scaled as well. And you'll see that down at the bottom of this slide. So across the board, depending on the type of property, you'll fall into one of these categories, and our management team will get your property leased, make sure that any maintenance is attended to so that you can be as hands-off as you'd like to be. Here is our market data packet. So much of the information that you saw on tonight's presentation can also be found here. We put together a market data packet for each one of our markets, frequently updating as each market is constantly changing and growing. So we take all of the details and put them all into one convenient place for our clients to find. So you'll find economic details, demographic details, what people do for fun, the major employers, all types of things, the percentage of people who buy versus to own versus the people who rent. So there's a lot of great information in these data packets. And again, you can find this for every market that we currently have teams in. So if you'd like more, or you're someone who likes charts and graphs and you're more visual, I highly recommend going and downloading it. It's a PDF download, and it's a real quick read if you want to flip through that. I also touched on property classes tonight. So for those of you who haven't yet or are new to Marshall Reddick, I highly recommend hopping on and downloading the Reddick Property Rating ebook. It's, again, about a 20-minute read, and this is going to walk you through the methodology behind our rating system, how we came up with our property class ratings. There's a small section on how to calculate the value of your property post renovation. And it's a really great way to understand what criteria go into a property class and how we rate those. The criteria that matter versus the criteria that don't matter, things you can change, things you can't change, things to that nature. So, you know, if you're sitting there wondering, well, what kind of, you know, what property class is right for me, this would be a great place to start. There's going to be different price points, different tenant qualities, different expectations, and there is a property class for every investor, and that may not be the same for everybody. So recommend that you get on. Again, it's a free download. It's about a 20-minute read. Full of lots of good information. You can connect with us on the socials, of course. We're everywhere. Our Facebook page, our Yelp, you can hop on, connect with our agents. You can connect with us on the website as well if you'd like to have a consultation. You can do that via the website. You can reach out to any of us directly. Just a good way to kind of follow, see what Marshall Reddick's up to. Our social media coordinator is great. There's always updates, what events are coming up, you know, what properties we have going on, such, you know, what incentives, what, you know, things to that nature that we might have going on in the office. So, and people like to connect, right? So you can find us and connect. I just mentioned scheduling a consultation. So what is that and what does it look like? Marshall Reddick built the company on education. He was a teacher himself. He was an instructor at Cal State LA, and the company is kind of founded on that ground of education. So we want to make sure that we prepare our clients with all the knowledge that they need to, you know, select a market, select a property, and scale a portfolio that can help them to reach whatever goal that they have. Is it early retirement? Is it passing on, you know, I hear the word legacy a lot. Is it passing on a legacy to your family? Is it supplementing your income so that you can take an extra vacation every year? Every investor's kind of path and goals are different. So what a consultation looks like is with one of our real estate advisors, myself included. What we do is we have a conversation with our client, and we cover the who, what, where, when, why, and how of everyone's real estate goals. You know, why is it that you're interested in real estate? What is it that you hope real estate will help you accomplish? So we talk about your goals. We'll cover financing and, you know, the how are you planning on acquiring your property, what your timeline is, the type of property that you're looking for, single family, multifamily, 20 years old, 2 years old. You know, everyone's criteria and everyone's goals are a little bit different again. So we have a consultation with every one of our clients so that we can get to know you, get to know what it is that you're looking for so that we can help everybody in the best way possible. We identify markets then, and then we start to introduce you to all the key players who will be a part of your real estate transaction. So at the very beginning, that would be a real estate advisor. For those of you who are already working with a real estate advisor, You can reach out to them if you don't have an advisor yet, but are looking to get started. You can reach out to me directly. My information will pop up in your screen in just a second. So at the very beginning, it's a real estate advisor. It's you know, a lender if you're ready to start talking about financing, and it's a real estate agent from the market of your choice. So in this case, we would get you dialed in for financing. We would contact Maureen and get that ball rolling. And then as your transaction progressed, we would start bringing in additional team members, additional vendors, and once the property closes, now you're in the great hands of property management. So everybody that you'll need to work with along the way and for the life of that investment is would be those introductions. And we do this with all of our clients, and the consultation's free and there's no obligation. So I always tell my clients, you know, I would love to hop on a call. I would love to find out more about your real estate goals. And you know what, at the end of the conversation, if it's not for you, that's okay. And if it is for you, we'll talk about the next steps. So no pressure. Again, no, there's nothing binding. It's think of it as a free chat to see if real estate is a good option for you. And here's my information if you wanted to go ahead and schedule that complimentary consultation. Again, as I mentioned, I've been with the company for 9 years. I practice what I preach, and if there's a situation that could come about, I've probably experienced it. So even if you just wanted to talk shop for a few minutes, I'm available. My phone number is here. Email address down below. So again, please contact me directly if you'd like. You can also go through the website, marshareddick.com/consultation, and you will be directed to an advisor for your free consultation to ask any questions, get additional information, etc. So I wanted to, whoops, we'll go back here. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure to have everybody on. I want to thank Maureen. She is a few hours ahead of us in the future, so it's 9 o'clock.
I'm ready for bed.
And we always appreciate our agents in other markets, you know, staying up late, being willing to share with everybody. And of course, we appreciate you, our clients, our attendees. Thank you, everyone who joined tonight. We're a little over time, so I want to go ahead and wrap it up. But if you did type in any questions, Maureen and I will make sure to get those answered for you. And we look forward to connecting with everybody who was on tonight, getting your feedback and seeing how we can help. So thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.